As if the job isn't hard enough without your gear getting pointed out. Graeme, Matt Murray alongside us here for the debate. Coming perhaps specifically off the back of comments made by Paul Scholes about how he looked as he took the team for the very first time. Going after Freddie Ljungberg for what he's wearing, that's brave.
It's very brave, because for me, probably Freddie Ljungberg's one of the coolest guys out there and was known as probably a bit of a fashion icon. So
as was Paul Scholes.
Absolutely. Look, end of the day, I thought he answered it very well. It was funny. It's amazing that so much is made of his attire on the touchline.
Well, we've got a whole part of it here, so...
but you remember, with Steve McLaren when he had a brolly. End of the day, it's about results. So Pep Guardiola, he doesn't wear a suit. He just looks very chilled and cool, if you like, and he wears what he wants. And you hear about some managers sometimes where they feel they're coaching, they wear a tracksuit, and then when they feel the team's where they are, they go to more suit. But to be honest, I don't think as a player it would have ever bothered me. All I care about, look, if he's really, really scruffy, but sorry, is it? He certainly didn't care about how smart he looked on the touchline. So it's all about Freddie Ljungberg. I thought it was a bit of banter there, a bit of fun. I don't think Paul Scholes ever thought so much would be made of his comments, and probably be bang under pressure next time he's out and about. But ultimately now, Freddie Ljungberg needs to set his team up, know what he's playing, digest or go through what happened against Norwich. We won't be happy with that, and it's all about Brighton now.
Apparently, Paul Scholes has been to bed in a suit the last 3 nights.
just to get ahead of the argument.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's quite, should we say, an old school way of looking at the perception of what a manager should look like, or what a particular... I mean, if we go on perhaps what Paul Scholes' experience of it is, it's Alex Ferguson predominantly in a suit, isn't it, really? But from the point of view of you looking across whoever was in the Chelsea dugout or whoever was in the Blackburn Rovers dugout, would it made a blind bit of difference if he was in a tracksuit or a suit?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think, I've been through so many different sort of phases with different managers that come in and you'd wear a suit to the games. Then you'd have an away match, you'd travel in a tracksuit because you're on a coach or flying or what have you. So I think as long as everybody's on time, uniformly dressed in the same outfit in terms of players, and there's respect and discipline around the preparation, what the coach wears, within reason, is up to him. And I think that, if you're the coach of a sports team, you're entitled to turn up and wear a tracksuit on the bench or wear a big coat if it's raining. Arsene Wenger wore a big coat. He didn't struggle with it. The only hassle he got was the fact he couldn't work the zipper. But ultimately, it's just such a meaningless sort of feature. And as Matt says, the thing for Freddie is he's in the firing line now. He's taken this job temporarily. What can he do to make the Arsenal team perform better? And what he wears going to matches and during a match has got absolutely nothing to do with.
Well, but then
how they
tell me then. I mean, what can he do? The questions about the selection of his first team raised a few eyebrows. There's suggestions that players came back into the team that weren't necessarily likeable, or something that about from the point of view of looking at it from the fans at the pitch, it's a team that doesn't really reflect which way they want to go. Would that be right in saying?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to probably the theme of this evening is about what do you stand for as a coach. If I was in Freddie's shoes now, the first thing I'd be doing is saying I'd be less worried about talent, much more worried about mentality, because that team to me doesn't look a strong mental team. They look like there are players in there that are looking at themselves and their own performances ahead of the team performances. I think David Luiz, who left Chelsea, you always knew it was going to either work brilliantly, could have been the coup of the century if he performs at the level he can perform every week. But with that comes the sort of the jeopardy of him suddenly doing something totally selfishly, going after a ball that he's got no right to win, stepping out of a defence. So lack of discipline, and I think that runs through the team. That ran through the team before he got there. And it continues to now. You've got Ozil, who is quite happy for someone to make an overlapping run past him, lose the ball, or him lose the ball, and then run all the way back past him the other way. And, we played together. You'd have got away with that once with me. If I'd overlapped you and you'd lost the ball and hadn't got back and covered for me, I'd have let you get away with that once, and then you'd have got it. Because and that's about setting standards and having personal pride and having the honesty with it. They seem to me that they don't want to have a go at each other. They're a bit too likeable.
But again, with statements, I think that's why they need to know how long has Freddie Ljungberg got the job for. And either make the decision who's coming in, or he's got it for a certain length of time, because I think it's very hard to change a culture when you're not you know, if you only players will just go. I saw it a little bit when Mick McCarthy got sacked at Wolves and Terry Connor took over for a few games, who is a top coach, top guy, but it was very, very difficult. So some players had 3, 4, 5-year contracts and thought, well, you're only here to the end of the season. I don't really care. I'll be here longer than you. So it was very difficult. So I think, again, they're going to need to recruit for January. The recruitment that happened in the summer wasn't good enough. So again, Freddie Ljungberg, if he's going to be able to change that culture and really impose himself, as I say, I think he needs to be given a little bit more backing, and that will be a problem.
So that needs to be clarified, because let's be honest, there's big managers out there that, from an availability point of view, are looming around, are they? I mean, you only have to look across London and see. I mean, the ones that are standing out there. I mean, big names jumping out, and there's talk of Brendan Rodgers having quite a sizable release fee in his contract. But I mean, would he want to go to somewhere like Arsenal, considering how well he's doing with Leicester?
I just think Brendan Rodgers, at this moment in time, he seems to have a fantastic relationship with the owner. His team are playing really, really well. You think he'll get backed again. So the one on that list is Rafa Benitez, I think. I think if you looked at him, he would come in, definitely create a culture. Like Graeme's saying, get that mentality, that hard work, that organisation, get a platform. Because like we talked about in Manchester United, Arsenal as well, they need to be pushing to that top 4. They need to be winning trophies. And he's a big, big name manager. So I think Freddie Ljungberg he was a fantastic player for the club, but he is inexperienced to be in that role. There's a lot more, people talk about Saux' inexperienced, but Ljungberg is much more inexperienced. So I can see why people talk about Rodgers, but I think a manager out of work now, but still a big name, would be one they'll be looking at.
Does it surprise you, Graeme, that it appears from the outside looking in that it's reactionary? Things weren't going well, we get Emery out the door, Freddie Ljungberg's there, he's in. And without sounding too businesslike and ruthless, surely a club that size goes, thank you for this, but now he's coming in, and this is where we're going with it next.
Absolutely agree. I think again, the way Arsenal have handled things recently, I just don't think is fitting of a club of that stature. I know a few of the ex-Arsenal players, that I played against many years, and when they were a really successful club, and to see that club sort of deteriorating, shall we say, the structures of the club and what that club represented and the history. And again, you can't be held back by history, but you've got to use it as a lever and a sort of a support into the modern era. So. And getting that combination, respecting and remembering that, using the bits you can for your identity, and then modernising is really important. But I mean, you look at the Arsenal team. I think they've got some fantastic players there. They should be performing at a way higher level than they are, way more consistent. Yeah. I like Torreira in there, Guendouzi. You've got players that I think have got the fight, but I think they've all been allowed to get away with stuff, and I think their standards are nowhere near where they should be. And if you asked each of them individually, I bet they would all accept that, actually, I'm not playing as good as well as I can play.
And Lacazette, Aubameyang, top players. So, but Pepe hasn't worked out yet. But I still think it is a huge club, fantastic stadium, training ground, everything else. So it is a very, very attractive job. But I just feel that because, like Graeme's saying there's quite a few problems in there. I think a manager that's already in a job with a good team might look at it and think, I need a summer and a pre-season to do this. That's why I just feel somebody like Rafa Benitez coming in, straight in. You've seen it before. He can go in. He did it at Chelsea, didn't he? Just go in, have an impact. And he's, big egos, whatever. He walks in, he's got a big aura. His CV speaks for itself. He's managed the biggest clubs in the world, Real Madrid, Liverpool. He's top drawer. So I could just see somebody like that, I think, steadying the ship. But not to have succession planning. It's very, very strange. Well,
someone that's been talking about it in the media, Arsene Wenger, talking about being there for Freddie Ljungberg if he needs him. Freddie Ljungberg said the same thing, reciprocated through the media. I presume they've got each other's numbers, but he's been talking through the papers. And said he needs to have time to stick to his beliefs, his principles, etc. He obviously knows just what is needed at that football club, and maybe not looking at it with a wry smile, but seeing that his successor, who was much vaunted and much touted, hasn't done that much better than the man that they were baying for blood to get out the door.
Yeah, I suppose it's difficult for people like Arsene and you'd say even obviously with Sir Alex Ferguson as well. They've been, there's so much part of that club. They're almost bigger than the club in a way. They were the one constant between the two. I don't think we'll ever see coaches managing teams for anywhere near that period again. I think, you know, seeing Pochettino leaving Spurs after 5 years, I think it is, he'd got to the end of that sort of lifespan, and I think that'll happen more and more. I think it's going to be we won't see it, and for all the success that they both had, it's very hard to leave a legacy afterwards because it requires such a big change, a big step change. You know, somebody that important that is the centre of everything going. It's not a one-man job anymore. You know, that's why Arsenal try to prepare by bringing in Mislintat and the sporting director type roles. They tried to do that whilst Arsenal was still there to prepare for him leaving, because you wouldn't run a football club now. If you started it now, you wouldn't run it as Wenger ran Arsenal for all those years, because the roles have become more specific. There are more support staff that you need, and I think Pochettino said it in the summer, didn't he? About, well, you know, don't call me the manager anymore, call me the head coach. And I think that's much more the direction of travel now. The coach is going to be someone that comes in and says, right, this is how I play. I fit your style. My style fits with the players that you're bringing in. There's alignment between that and then the recruitment. And then that manager might last 1-2 seasons. Then they'll look for the next one that comes in that does a similar thing. That's where you get the consistency.
Recruitment's key, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So profiling the player, looking at what you want, what's going to fit. And I just feel, but also I think that head coach has got to make players better.
Absolutely.
And really come in and develop them. So that will be the bit. Because, you know, Emery, look, his CV was fantastic, wasn't it? But whatever reason, it didn't happen.
One question would be, OK, if we go back 2 seasons plus, and you said, right, you can buy one position at Arsenal. Centre-back. We've got nothing to do with the club, but we can all sit here and go, well, they need centre-back. Yeah. You know, they need to sort their defence out. And what have they done? I think that they've Mustafi doesn't look good enough. You know, and once people have lost faith in a player like that, it's very hard to recover. David Luiz, big risk as well. Socrates, not sure.
And that's like, it's all about Brendan Rodgers, but the recruitment at Leicester, Solskjaer's come in, didn't they? They let Maguire go. He's done brilliantly. Tielemans, he's come in. So there are some top players out there. If you get the scouting right, you go and look for them. And Club of Arsenal size, for me, has to do that. But I still think they should have got Zaha as well. I know we were saying about a centre-back, but Pepe's the one they spent the money on. Zaha was proper proven. I'm surprised they didn't go all the way for him.
He also